Let's see. Honest game trailer, Suicide Squad. This just popped up for me. Now I'm curious.
Following is rated S for spoilers.
Let's see it.
From the studio that gave us the Batman games that dive-kick their way into everyone's hearts, and an IP that's good, 50% of the time.
Normals is setting on the dryer.
Snarl's not gonna wash the taste of that stinker out. Comes a game that's 50% of the way towards being a good time, but ultimately winds up being a little less gun and a lot more airs. Yep, just walking over some cool shit in the background works every time. Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. Witness the house fire that is Suicide Squad's tumultuous launch after development problems, multiple delays, and a pretty lukewarm reception, creating one of the biggest L's for Rocksteady to date, in another shining example of what happens when developers go out of their usual wheelhouse and make live service games just to please their shareholder masters. I just hope that another game that got delayed forever doesn't make mistakes like this one. Oops. Or should I say, arr. It's almost like they've learned nothing. Take to the skies with the most ragtag, useless team of heroes Amanda Waller could scrape out of Arkham's basement.
Waller out.
Except for King Shark, he's a gem. As Metropolis is ravaged by an alien invader. And the Justice League, despite having a fast man that can bend time, the world's greatest detective, a guy that can literally make anything with light, and an all-powerful demigod, gets brainwashed to do some good old-fashioned world domineering. And the last hope of taking down an interplanetary nerd with a hard-on for conquest
the worst Endgame boss
is
fight,
this bundle of
ever.
idiots.
It was so
where
bad.
you'll shoot, and shoot some more at superheroes that have a track record of that not really working well against them. But somehow, through the power of really toxic friendship, they'll assassinate all the heroes you like. Ugh, even if it is a Suicide Squad game, Batman getting taken out like that feels disrespectful to his parents.
Come on, champ, let's go watch our parents die. It's what we deserve.
In a story that definitely has an interesting premise, but is absolute nonsense if you put down the controller long enough to actually think about it. Assuming you even get that far. Hey, I wonder why I never put 2 and 2 together. Oh, kill combo! That alien exploded. Shoot your way through the only actual redeeming features of this game, the gunplay, that mixes wild traversal with smooth third-person mechanics, as each character has a different playstyle to mix things up, and they throw enough enemies at you from all over to make sure you're always on your toes. That will make you feel like you won't ever get tired of it, until you do. As skill progression feels mediocre, guns start to feel same-ish, and they make you do the same 3 types of modes over and over again. That feels like they definitely had a real winning formula, if they didn't put it into the most boring arena ever. I'm sure this would be a lot more fun with other people. Let's see.
Yeah, you straight up can't
So
match
this
make.
is what it feels like to be Aquaman.
Why didn't you invite me?
Oh, to tell the fish to get out of the way? No, they figured it out.
Explore the ruins of this once great monument to human ingenuity. I mean Metropolis, not this franchise. As you use your bombastic traversal to do a bunch of menial labor, where you'll take out contracts and side quests, all in hopes of getting the better color guns, until you've finally done the plot stuff to actually kill a Justice League, which would have been fine if literally any of that didn't just end up with you shooting more of the same aliens in the same faces in the same exact way. They're just lucky that video games have basically turned getting loot into a gambling addiction. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing any of this.
Dude, straight up. And I told you guys, I had like 2 former Rocksteady devs reach out to me through email and DMs saying that my suspicions about like the game's behind the scenes stuff, heavily suggesting that these like loot box things were actually at one time loot boxes that were reworked into the reward drops for this. At one time these would have been purchasable basically. And instead, like, they took them out as rewards for missions. But I'm just shocked, like, with all of this, the most baffling thing about all of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is just that after all this time, there is so little content. They even delayed it basically a year and a half, 2 years. And they only could muster up 3 different missions. 3 missions for the end game. It's amazing. It's crazy.
Have basically turned getting loot into a gambling addiction. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing any of this. So get ready to mindlessly farm guns and try to have a little fun in a game that had all the bells and whistles to be great, but was probably a decade too late to catch the fad for any future content to come to fruition that you'll probably enjoy for a little while, until you realize that like all DC franchises, it might need a James Gunn-style intervention. Ah, the circle of life. Starring...
For real, if it came out in like 2016, 17, I could see this being successful. I think that would have made sense. But nowadays, it's just way too little too late.
Kangaroo Jackass, Deep-Seated Family, Issue Shark Doot 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 Doot, Dead in the Water Shot, Marno Robbie, Very Mad TV, NordVPN. So I just started blasting. Chlorophyll poisoning Tiny Tina. Definitely kisses his anime body pillow. Pre-ejaculation man. The Bat from Fern Gully. EDM light show. Straight up Omni-Man. Wonder Woman just barely holding it together. Twig Apocalypse. And pre-hair plugs Elon Musk. Suicide Squad. Kill the Franchise League.
That was pretty good. That's pretty good.
No, the only realistic thing about the Suicide Squad is that the Riddler would absolutely put up a bunch of puzzles and trophies during a little apocalypse. Look, I can deal with poison gas and gang violence, but what I won't stand for is having to run around another game to do a bunch of zero-budget escape rooms. Comment below on what you want to hear in my epic voice, and check out these other epic...
In my epic voice. Man. Yeah, the other thing was like the skill tree. They mentioned that, and that it's so bafflingly bad, and yet they talked about it so confidently pre-launch as if it was so robust. There's just so much with this game where it's just it's so confusing. I'm really hopeful we get that big Jason Schreier breakdown of, oh, this is what happened, and then everything makes sense. But as of right now, just it's so confusing. Because they had so much time, and yet there's so little there. Focusing on the entire skill tree on combos was super weird to me. Yeah, and it's like, it's not even a skill tree, because how it works is that you have a few different columns. So you have like this box over here, this column. You have this middle column, and each of these like lean into a particular play style, right? But how they'll do it is that they'll have like 2 options, and then 1 option, and then 1 option, and then 3 options. And these might be, you know, little bitty differences where it's like, oh, you can, maybe this one is like you double the damage on your big ultimate ability. This one might be that you get a plus 10% to crit chance. And this one might be that you get improved shotgun damage or whatever. And so they try to lean into different play styles. But basically what ends up happening is that no matter which way you go, like if you go the yellow route and we just go, let's use a crayon. You go boop, 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 boop. You're not actually playing that differently from the guy that's going like this. You know, you're really not. It might feel like you are initially, but when you actually look at the different abilities you're choosing, you're sharing more abilities than you're not, most likely, because some of these people are going to go off this way and split that way. Others are going to go over here, share that one with yellow. And so they've only got one different choice than the people that were going for a totally different kind of build. So they act as though it's this big, vast skill tree when it's really not. It's like a skill branch. It's just 3 branches that they act are like they're trees independently, but they're really, really not. Granted, this is probably better than the Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Skill bush. This thing was a nightmare. Even down to the point where this center piece right here, in case you haven't played it, if you wanted to just like each one of these little nodes is its own thing, you redeem for a skill point. So by like level 20, you're already getting bored of going through and selecting node, 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 or node, And then next time you level up, you get that node. It just gets really, really tedious. So people started just probably complaining about it in play tests. So they changed it. So now you can just select this button and it automatically applies the skill points for you. And they acted like this was some big, vast skill tree, but it's like, it's more of a bush. It's more of a bush. And it's so annoying to deal with that they even realized it and put in an auto deploy skill point thing. Like if your skill tree is so boring and uninteresting that you give players a button to just skip it, I don't know if it's an RPG anymore, you know? And they kept adding more. You're right. You're right. Like there were, now it's, I think, even bigger than this. Like it goes all the way out another 20, 30%. Because there's just way, way more. It was just like, okay, more does not mean better. I think for the devs, they probably thought that it was like, oh, there's so much variation. You can do so many different things. But I think it was just an example of how players can get overwhelmed. At least with like AC Odyssey or Origins, there were some differences. Like, you know, there was the warrior trees where these were all just melee. These were all just ranged. And these were all pretty much just stealth stuff, or like survival stuff. And so they actually were very independent, and if you leaned into one play style over all of the others, it actually felt really different, you know. Let it be known, Luke doesn't like Bush. I don't like skill Bush. I tried playing Valhalla for the 4th time a couple months ago and got to the point where I asked myself, why am I doing this to myself? Dude, that's a thing. That is absolutely a thing that you will feel when you try to play that game.
He took my thing.